Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today I want to walk you through a fascinating case study. This involves a client we'll call Sandy, and the profound changes her system is undergoing after just a few sessions of what we call do-nothing work. This is a deep dive into how the body heals itself when we create the right conditions. A colleague of mine, let's call him Rudy, conducted the session and sent me a detailed report. This was about the fourth or fifth time they've done this work together. He described some really dramatic physical responses he experienced while attuned to Sandy. Let's break down what happened and what it all means. First, the session began with a long yawn, and he counted 12 yawns in total. Now early on, yawning can just be a general sign that the nervous system is shifting into a relaxed parasympathetic state, but at this stage with this frequency it's much more specific. It's like a pressure release valve for held awareness that's finally descending and reorganizing itself. The fact that it started early and kept happening tells us Sandy's system isn't resisting the process anymore. Instead, it's cycling through deeper and deeper layers of release. This is a big step forward. Next, and this is probably the most important piece of data from the session, Rudy described his own body shaking and jutting forward around his center line. He felt his left and right sides pushing forward, almost as if they were wrapping themselves around a central axis. This wasn't just a random twitch. It's a very specific signature. It points to the body reclaiming its central vertical axis. Think of it this way: when we experience trauma or fragmentation, that center line can feel unsafe. Our awareness scatters to the sides, gets stuck down low, or runs in loops. What Rudy witnessed was Sandy's body testing that center again, gently but persistently. The wrapping motion is the fascia and nervous system communicating. Hey, we think it's safe enough now to organize around our core. Her awareness is no longer stranded in the lower body. The system is trying to rebuild coherence. Then there was a moment where his whole body just vibrated. This wasn't an emotional outburst. It was brief, global, and wasn't followed by a collapse. This signals a global resynchronization, multiple holding patterns and stress loops released all at once. The system had enough stability to let them go simultaneously, something that usually only happens after earlier sessions have laid the groundwork. He also mentioned his arms jolting forward, which has become a regular occurrence in their sessions, but the meaning of this has shifted. Initially, those arm jolts were likely exit points for discharging excess energy. Now they represent residual release from peripheral pathways. The arms are letting go because they no longer need to do the job of holding everything together. The newly re-established center is taking over that responsibility. Finally, there was tearing in his eyes. Interestingly, his left eye started tearing first, and it wasn't until the end of the session that he noticed his right eye had also teared. This sequence is significant. The left side is often associated with our personal, emotional memory field, while the right is more connected to our relational, world-facing self. The delay suggests an asymmetry is resolving, and crucially, there was tearing without any emotional flooding. This points to a sensory-motor release, not a reliving of a traumatic story. The body is processing the experience directly, without getting caught in the mental narrative. So, what's the next step? This is where restraint becomes critical. The system is in the middle of a major reorganization. The worst thing we could do right now is intensify the work, direct her awareness, or introduce new things. That would just interfere with the integration process. Instead, the plan is to actually shorten the session slightly. Think integration over excavation. We want to give her system time to consolidate these huge changes. Rudy's role now becomes even more passive. His only job is to stay out of the way of the center. No tracking, no correcting, no curiosity. Just pure non-interference with that emerging central axis. We'll be watching for a specific sign that tells us the next phase has begun. A moment of spontaneous stillness after movement. A pause where nothing needs to happen and it feels complete. When that appears, we'll know the system has stabilized around the center. Now, after Rudy sent his initial report, he added a crucial detail he'd forgotten. Before the session, he checked where Sandy's center of gravity and awareness was settling. Initially in their work, it was very low in her body, but she'd been doing her homework, and it had started to gradually rise to her large intestine area, But after this last session, he checked again the next morning, and her awareness had stabilized much higher around the upper chest and neck area. He also noted that if he tried to sense any higher, it felt like the structure would break down. This wasn't a small detail. It was the key that confirmed everything. That progression from the lower body to the large intestine to the upper chest is textbook integration. It wasn't a jump, it was a climb. The lower body represents survival and containment. The large intestine area is about regulation and letting go, and the upper chest and neck area relates to presence, voice, and connection with others. Her system completed a vertical handoff, and that feeling of a ceiling that it would break down if it went higher. That is the healthiest sign imaginable. It means her system knows its own capacity. It can feel its current boundary without pushing past it into overload. It's her body saying, "This is where I can live comfortably right now." That's exactly what we want. This new information lines up perfectly with the physical releases. The wrapping around the center line re-established vertical coherence. The whole body vibration was the global recalibration. And now the result is a new, stable home base for her awareness in the upper chest. She has moved from simply clearing out old stress patterns to actually occupying herself, learning where she can exist without strain. This is why the session felt so dramatic in Rudy's body. Her entire system was changing its fundamental reference points. So the guidance moving forward is crystal clear. First, do not try to move her awareness any higher, especially not into the head. That would just fragment the newly stabilized center. We need to let that upper chest and neck region become boringly normal first. Second, we'll adjust her homework slightly. Instead of encouraging lifting or rising, the focus will shift to simply noticing. Prompts like notice where you feel most present, or let your attention rest where breathing feels easiest. This reinforces occupancy rather than striving. And finally, in the upcoming sessions, we'll be watching for releases related to the voice, the throat, the jaw, subtle swallowing, or even changes in her vocal tone. These might even show up in Rudy's body before she notices them herself. Rudy's intuition that this shift in her center of gravity was the key indicator that we did something was spot on. Observable, repeatable change in where awareness stabilizes is the gold standard. They didn't just do something. They helped her system find a new place it can safely and comfortably call home. The next questions we ask are, did that upper chest and neck area feel quiet or active in the next session? And did it hold its stability throughout the day? The answers will tell us exactly when and how to proceed. It's a beautiful process of listening to the body's innate intelligence. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive. I hope it gives you some insight into the subtle yet powerful ways our bodies can heal and reorganize. If you found this interesting, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. See you next time.